Welcome to Interact's Creator Stories podcast. Interact is the easiest way to convert curious people into loyal and happy customers by using a lead generating quiz. On Creator Stories, we get to hear the entrepreneur's journey. This is a podcast about how those creators took their knowledge and experiences to carve out a place in the world, owned what they know is special about themselves, and turned it into a successful company. Today, we get to speak with Angela, the founder of the Systems RX. She's a tech and automation specialist and has supported online coaches and course creators with the tech and automation build out and maintenance for multiple 6 and 7 figure evergreen funnels. All right, let's get started. Hi, guys, and welcome back to Interact's Creator Stories podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. And with me, I have Angela Tan from the Systems RX. Angela, thank you so much for being on our show with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Of course, of course. And people got a little bit of a bio on you already, but can you go ahead and just jump right in? Tell us a little bit more about you, your business, and then how did you get started in all of this?
Yeah, so my name is Angela Tan. I am the founder of the Systems RX. I currently live in Tampa, Florida, hot Tampa, Florida. And I am a tech and automation specialist. So I specifically help online coaches and course creators launch evergreen funnels without the tech overwhelm. So that's what I've been doing for the past year and a half. But I first started out as a general virtual assistant back in January of 2019. So I was working for business and marketing coaches, just doing like general admin tasks, trying to figure out what I enjoyed doing in this online space because I had just gotten laid off from my 9 to 5. I was working actually as a firearms accessories technation.
Whoa.
Yeah, people don't usually guess that about me, so it's kind of fun when I tell them. But yeah, I was doing that for like 2 years, and my son had to get open heart surgery at 6 months old. And while he was recovering, they let me go. And so I needed to, that I was kind of like looking into virtual assistant before then, anyways, because I was trying to find something where I could be like at home and spend more time with him because he had a lot of doctor's appointments, just like I think at that point it was like every 2 weeks, just tons of doctor's appointments. And so I dabbled into the virtual assistant world, got started there. And then after like 6 or 7 months, I realized I really love all the tech and automation stuff, like all the stuff that most people don't enjoy. I really love doing. It's like putting together a huge like virtual puzzle, piecing it all together and making sure that it all works, it all talks to each other, and it all like functions on autopilot and helps my clients make money while they're sleeping, and they love it. So yeah, that's kind of how I niche down to what I do today.
Wild. And that's so scary. I don't know how you got through that, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're here.
I don't know
Uh
either. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, and actually, his open heart surgery was about 3 years ago around this time of the year. So like, I know like around this time of year we kind of like get some sort of PTSD around it, but
mm,
we're good. We're all good now. We're getting better.
that's good. That's good. But it's kind of crazy because you went through that and then you lose your job. So you're like, well, I have to figure something out. Like I have to keep going. What was that like trying to push through? Like you're like, well, I have to work, but all this crazy stuff has just happened to me.
It definitely was scary, especially because I knew I didn't want to go back to a 9 to 5 where I needed, because childcare wasn't an option at that point with his health condition, and I knew I just needed to work from home and be with him. Not that that was an easy option as well, because I realized very quickly that working from home with a kid is almost impossible because you just need constant attention. But
Right.
yeah, it's just thankfully, virtual assistants, like it's so flexible. And they're so, I mean, I think even today, like if you look at just the different fields of how you can get into virtual assisting, and like different ways you can support clients, and like especially if you find those dream clients that are like, I love working with parents who understand that our kids come first and nothing in business is an absolute emergency. So when I find, like when I had clients like those, especially in the beginning, it was really nice that they were like, you and your kid comes first, and then like, these things can happen after hours or whenever it gets done, it's not a rush. So it was really nice like having that kind of a support from my clients, and then obviously support from family as well. Like my husband and my mom and my sisters were amazing throughout all of that.
Oh, but I love that though, because you don't usually expect that from your clients, especially, or like who your customers are. You think like, great, like they're expecting me to get this done. Are they going to be mad? Like, what will they feel about this if I don't get it done in
Yeah.
time? But you
Yeah.
don't want to have to choose between life and work. But that's awesome that they were actually more, they were part of the support system that you needed at the time.
Yeah. And those clients are, I call them like unicorn clients because it's so hard to like, I've definitely had my share of clients who do not have kids and they don't understand that yet. So it was like very hard to work with those clients. So now I think one of my values, especially when I am, talking to potential clients, if they are parents, like we really vibe and we really understand, like, family comes first and then everything else comes after that.
Right. I totally get what you mean. Like, I don't have kids myself, but my sister has a 2-year-old and she doesn't work in business, but her job is she's an occupational therapist. So she has to physically go
Oh,
to work.
yeah.
And so, like, I just see how hard it is to have to find childcare and then, like, the attention that you have to give, like, when you are home after having like a long day at work. So I totally get it. And
Mhm.
so it is really it's interesting how until you see it firsthand or until you're experiencing it firsthand, you just like don't get it.
Yeah. And even when you do find childcare is expensive. My
Right.
son's first year in daycare, I calculated it and it was like over $10,000 in daycare fees. And I was like, this is a lot of money into
Wow. It's like sending
childcare.
someone to college already at like
I
two,
know.
3 years old.
It was so much money. I was like, oh my God, that's how much I've paid this year for childcare. But honestly, it was worth it because he got to have social interaction. I got to have
Mhm.
some me time and get some work done. So, yeah.
Right, right. But you were able to, when you did have him home, you were able to have that sort of flexible schedule of,
Yes.
okay, like I could work when I need to work, but then I can also put it down if I need to put it down.
Yeah. That in the beginning, it was very hard because I used to be a workaholic almost. Like work was just like everything for me. And I struggled a lot with boundaries. Like if I knew I didn't have capacity to do something, I would still say yes. I'm a lot better now. But back then it was just like I just said yes to anything and everything that my clients would ask me to at whatever timeline that they wanted. And I would work really late hours. I mean, like whenever my son goes to sleep or goes down for a nap, I do work. I mean, I probably go like 2 or 3 days without showering. Like it was really bad, like going,
Yeah,
like
I was
trying to manage all of that in the beginnings. And then when I
right.
did get help from my mom, my sisters, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, I was like, oh, it felt so nice.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna ask. I was like, what was that like trying to, like I think flexible hours are it's great to have, but you do kind of still have to have a stopping point, right?
Yes.
Like you have to be like,
Yes.
okay, like my hours are flexible, but I have to stop by at least say like 7 p.m. if I start at like 8 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah, like having that hard, because when you do work from home, it's so hard to separate work life and home life. So like I think one, having like a designated working space has helped a lot. And then also setting up those like designated work hours. It's like, okay, after this time, I am not answering any emails. I am not
Mhm.
like talking to clients, like just setting up those boundaries. It took me so long to get to that point. Like now my work hours, like I've even added it to my email signatures and I felt so good about it, is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. because those days are when my son's at school, so that's my work hours. And I've done, I think I would say I do a pretty good job keeping to those boundaries.
Right. And I think that I feel like if you for those who are listening, if you do struggle with like time management, you can set those expectations in the beginning. So when
Mhm.
people do kind of come to you, they're thinking about hiring you for work, or they need something from you. If you set it at the beginning, it's less taxing. If you can't
Yes.
get it done, it's like, well, these are my work hours, it's,
Yeah.
and here's my timeline. So you can also set that timeline against what they need as well, and let them know, like,
Yeah.
I actually can't get it done in that time because of XYZ.
Yeah, and just being really honest with yourself about capacity to, like, if you know your plate is full, like, don't add it on, or find if there's something lower priority on your plate that you can push off, like, then tell them, okay, this seems like lower priority and can be pushed off. We can move things around or shift things around, but yeah, I think being transparent from the get-go, like even in like an onboarding packet or like a contract, like,
Mhm.
here's how long you can expect for like responding to emails or like messages or whatever. I think that's a great thing to have.
What are, I guess, do you have a sort of system of how you figure out what's lower priority or what's higher priority?
I guess it depends on the season that the client is in, like the season of business that they're in. Obviously, if they're in launch mode, like let's say they're launching something tomorrow, anything related to that launch like would be higher priority. If it's something like, oh, this small detail needs to be updated on something completely not related to the launch, like we push that off to another time after the launch, after we've recovered from the launch. But yeah, that would be a small example of that.
I like that because I think, I mean, I've struggled with this myself, even working here just for marketing, trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I differentiate what is higher priority, what's lower priority, what needs to get done this week and next week. And I think I mean, at least for me, especially in the last year, my job sort of became more flexible in terms of like, a lot of what you do in marketing is a test, right? Like you
Mm,
test to see if it works or not, but it also kind of depends on other things that are happening in the company. Like maybe this product was supposed to come out. So, all those emails that you just worked on need to get pushed. So
yeah.
it's just like trying to figure out, like, okay, what can I do differently, or like what do I need to do now? And I'm the same way as you. Like when people ask me to do something, I'm like, okay, I'll do it right this second,
Yeah.
even if I'm in the middle of something. So I had to learn that myself as well.
It's funny because I learned that because I used to brag that multitasking was a skill of mine, but actually multitasking like is really not bad, but like it really like prolongs how long it takes to do something, like versus if you
Right.
just like focus on one thing at a time. So now I don't say that multitasking is a skill of mine anymore because it's not.
Right, right. I feel like especially in this day and age when people just want things to happen faster, no
Mhm.
matter what you're going through, no matter what's happening, they're like, I want it now. And I feel like that could kind of hurt you in the end if you're like, yeah, I can do it all. And they're like, okay,
Yeah.
then do it all.
Yeah. But like going back to, the whole lower, higher priority thing, I think now that I'm thinking about it, one of my clients, they used to do work in sprints. And so whatever the goal of that sprint was, like if there were tasks that were outside of that goal, then it would be pushed off to like the following sprint. So like maybe like you break it down by like quarterly goals.
Mhm.
And I actually tried doing this for my business. I wasn't very successful at it, but I'm going to keep trying. But like, let's say my goal for this quarter is to have or is to write 5 new blog posts or something like that. And if I suddenly have a thought of like, oh, maybe I want to launch a podcast, like it's like, no, that's going to get moved to another time when I have
Right.
capacity for that. Because this, I've set a goal of blog posts for this quarter.
And you stick to it.
I try.
The
We try.
idea is you stick to it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that though. I think, I mean, it's important to try new things, especially if you're like, hey, like I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of improve my productivity. I want to improve like the work that I get done. what can I do? What can I do or what can I try? I started doing this. Have you heard of the Fabulous app? This is not sponsored, but
No.
well, it's this app that basically the idea is to help you build healthy habits. And
Okay.
so I'm in this sort of like kind of goal right now of trying to build healthy habits. And it's like you do the same thing, the one same thing, like once a day, every day. And then you don't move on to the next habit until you've accomplished that
Oh,
habit. And so I'm kind of in this space right now of like, I kind of love this, it's like kind of what you were talking about, like focusing on one thing. And then until you get to the next thing, then that the first one that you were working on is now a habit. It's like something you don't even have to think about anymore. So for
yeah.
me, like the very first thing they have you do is you wake up first thing and you drink water. And
That's
like,
so hard.
right. And it was like they do help you with like tips of like, get like a reusable water bottle, make sure you fill it up, like set a reminder to fill it up right before bed and then keep it right next to you. So it's right there. And so now I've been doing it, I think, for a few weeks. And after the water, it was like, okay, now, walk around for 8 minutes and things like that. And it continues on with the next habit for a few days, and then you build on that. And so it's
Because it takes a
really
certain amount of days for it to become a
exactly,
habit, right?
exactly, yeah. And that's the whole idea is like they do let you choose new habits if you want to, but they put out a warning and they're like,
Oh,
studies show that if you try to do too much at once, you're more likely to stop, like just like drop off and stop doing all of this. So we don't recommend that you move on and add more right now. And so I
I
just kind of
like
love it.
that.
Yeah, because it kind of adds to this whole like, I think for me, what's useful about it is, because I work from home and I don't know if you can't see because my background is blurred, but I work in my bedroom. And so having that separation, like you were talking about, took a lot for me because I was like, I feel like I'm waking up, I'm going to work, and then I'm going to sleep.
Mm,
And then I'm waking up and I'm going to work and I'm going to sleep. And there's no separation. So, kind of building these sort of healthy habits of routine after working from
yeah.
home, being stuck at home during the pandemic. It's crazy how much work it actually takes, but it's working so far.
And I like that it's not like you're not adding on a bunch of new habits at once because like that's
Mhm.
a lot to try. So I like that it's like one at a time. I'm gonna have to check out that app.
Right. But I kind of feel like it also kind of adds to this, what am I working on in this sprint? It's like work
Hmm.
on that one thing and don't add on another thing until you're like, okay, like this is going. It's
Yeah.
it's almost sort of, muscle memory for me at this point.
Mm,
And then you can keep going on to the next thing.
yeah. I definitely need to drink water first thing in the morning.
It's very interesting how it ended up working. Like their whole thing is the simplest task, right? Like you can do
Hmm.
this. It's so simple. You just open your water and you like put it in your mouth. Like they start you off with really simple stuff. Yeah, definitely recommend, not sponsored. But anyway, my whole point was I think it totally relates to just working and setting those boundaries at work and what you do, what you say yes to with your clients and all that
Hmm.
good stuff. But something that came to mind earlier when you were talking was you being a virtual assistant and that kind of showing you this whole world of automation and how you fell in love with that and that's how you built your business based off of that. So something that I thought of as you were saying that was just, I laughed when you were like, I realized I enjoyed all the things that people hate doing. What was that process like of, oh, I actually like this, I can make a business out of it?
I I really thought I was crazy when I found out that I enjoyed doing this because my clients were like, this is a nightmare. I want nothing to do with it. And a lot of my clients who come to me, they are not tech savvy, which I love because they just trust me with it and they're just ready to not be in it. And I'm starting to see a lot more tech VAs or funnel VAs, show up and really own their expertise. And I think it's so important, especially in this online space where we rely so heavily on tech and automation to run our online businesses. And like the online course industry is just blowing up right now. And these
Right.
things just can't sell on autopilot without tech and automation. So like when I figured this out, I think it was like March of last year, 2020, I was like, I think I found something. Like, I think this is it. Cause I really struggled trying to niche down from a general VA to whatever skill it was that I thought that I would enjoy. Then I thought, is it a skill that I'd have to take a course to learn from scratch? I considered like copywriting. Copywriting is not my strong suit. And I almost took a copywriting course, but I spoke to a coach and she was like, if that's not your thing, that's like, don't try to take a course to like make yourself good at it. Like find what is it that you enjoy. So for like any VAs that are just starting out, like it doesn't hurt to try out all the things. Like I love that I was a catch-all for my clients doing so many random tasks, like from booking flights, like more like personal assistant
Wow.
tasks to like responding to customer service emails. Like I had a client who I need to catch a breath. Sorry, I'm pregnant, so I'm like
Oh,
out of breath.
congrats.
Thank you. I need to slow down a little. I had a client who had a large following on YouTube and would get like 500 emails a day. And I quickly
Whoa.
realized that email management was not my favorite thing. I could find ways to automate it to make it like easier and more streamlined, but I was like, that's not my thing. But yeah, just figuring out all the tech and automation stuff, like I can get so into my zone of genius. And my clients love that for me and they trust me with it and I just love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. The way you talk about it too, you can see that you light up when you talk about it. So I can tell you actually enjoy it. How, so when you decided, okay, I'm going to focus on automation, how did you decide? And I think like the reason why this question comes to mind is because I've even talked to a lot of people myself who are like, I don't know what tools I need to use. I don't even know what it's supposed to look like. Like they don't know where to start. So how did you kind of figure out like, okay, here's how I'm going to make a business out of tech automation. Here's what I'm going to recommend and why.
So for me, I learned that I started off actually like doing systems in general. So like helping people set up their CRMs or their like the different tools that they use for their business. And then I quickly realized I wanted to focus specifically on evergreen funnels. Um, and obviously with evergreen funnels, there's lots of tools that are involved with it. There's different strategies that are involved with it. So when it comes to like recommending tools for my clients, one, we look at what are they currently using? Do they like it? Is it working for them? Do they find it user friendly? What is their budget? Like budget is a big thing because there are like more robust, expensive tools out there. There are some tools that are nice to have, but not necessary if you're just starting out. There's only one tool that I recommend religiously to my clients, and it's Active Campaign. It's an email marketing software. But other tools I usually are pretty flexible with my clients based on what they are familiar with and what some people are just like committed to one platform. They're not moving
Mhm.
away. And I respect that. They're paying for the platform. I get that. But I think a lot of it has to do with the strategy that they want to execute for whatever they're building, and will the features of that tool support that strategy for them and be able to help them maintain the funnel like ongoing, because when you have an evergreen funnel you have to maintain it. So if it's easily maintained, if it's user friendly, and if they don't hate the software, because I have so many clients who sign up for software because so and so told them to sign up for it, but they actually really really hate it. But they've already spent all this time setting everything up in the software, so they're like, now I have to either spend the time myself to migrate or spend the money to have someone else migrate for me. So they're stuck at a crossroad of what to do. Like, do they just
Right.
stick with it or spend that money or time? So yeah, I think really taking the time to, and there's so many free trials these days with all
Mhm.
these softwares. Like I think really testing things out before you commit to something is so important.
Right. Right. And I mean, even for our own software, I say it all the time. I'm like, we have a free version. See if you even like the feel and the look of the product before actually like signing up for a free trial and then actually testing out paid features
Mm-hmm.
because there are those options. So you just have to get a little bit creative in the ways that you do test stuff out and what that looks like. Um, Something that I caught earlier when we were talking about this was you help people figure out how each system talks to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's my
when
favorite part.
I love the way you said that. It was almost poetic, but I how do you sort of figure out like, okay, here's their goal, the end goal. They just like gave me this project. Say in a perfect world, they were like, I have all the money. You could use whatever. I just want it to do this one thing. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you go from, all these softwares in the world to, all right, here's like five specific ones that makes the system work?
Ooh. I would one look at what they want to execute. Um, Obviously I'm sticking to my active campaign email marketing platform, totally not sponsored. I would stick to that. But for the others, I would just see like what kind of features and support they need. Um, I just think user friendliness is such a big thing because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are going to be maintaining the
Mm,
well, in the way that I work with clients now. So I do VIP days where I set up their funnels and integrate it in one day. If they want to hire me for ongoing support to maintain their funnel, we can do that. But as far as I know, they are going to be maintaining their funnel. So they are going to have to be in there, occasionally like checking on things and making sure that everything is still functioning. So I just think that making sure it's a platform that they are familiar with or like that they can get a hang of and it's not too intimidating for them to use, which can be kind of tricky to like, I guess I'd have to like sit on a call with them and have them like, okay, try this one out, try this one out. But that would just take so much time. I definitely have a handful to like pick from to like recommend, and then like that kind of narrows the list down a little bit. But at the end of the day, I would still try to have them decide what works best for them and what they like.
right. Oh, I love that. I like that you said narrowing it down, you have a handful, because I was going to ask, you mentioned that, being a VA, you were able to sort of try out almost everything and be in all these different things and figure out what you liked and didn't like. But now that you do have a set business, you niche down and you know what you're doing, do you still give yourself time to, I guess, like research, play around with the new things that are coming out, or maybe like new things that you haven't heard of before? How does that work?
Yeah, so the tools that I use for my business, as well as the tools that most of my clients use, I usually sign up for their newsletters so that when there is a new update, I get it and I like look through if when there's like a new feature or automation or something like that, just so I can kind of keep myself up to date on the softwares. I've been trying and I haven't been sticking to it because I've heard a previous client tell me that having like a 20% time in your business every week, like whether it be like 90 minutes or like 2 hours dedicated to like working on your business. So for me, I think that would look like creating mock scenarios for funnels or creating mock automation. So I try to play
Oh,
around in like Zapier, and it's really fun. I love Zapier. Just like coming up with different if then scenarios for
mhm.
automations and seeing what I can automate. Sometimes I just wake up and I'm just like, what if I could automate this? And then like I go into Zapier and I'm like, oh my God, it's totally possible. I can, and I a lot of my followers on Instagram actually love when like I come up with different Zapier or Zap ideas and I share with them. It's like this is possible. Like one of them is Zoom recordings,
Mhm.
downloading them like automatically and uploading them to Google Drive or YouTube or Vimeo, like through a Zap,
Ooh,
because you have to like go into Zoom and download it and then like
right.
re-upload it. It just takes a while. And I found a Zap that like takes you automatically to like upload it to Google Drive or to YouTube or Vimeo, and it saves so much time. So it takes a lot of creativity sometimes to play around with the different, like, I think automation is just, it's kind of like magic, I call it, because the possibilities are endless. There's so many different things you can do with it. There's so many different ways you can do one thing. So yeah, it's just a lot of playing around, but trying to carve out that time to make sure that you can play around. I'm working on that.
Yeah, I love that a lot because I think we forget, right? Like once you start getting more clients and your business is
Mm,
going, you forget, oh shoot, I have my own business that I have to
yeah.
also do work on. And I remember
Yeah.
what caught my eye about you specifically was this reel that you had posted. I think I told you this already, but this reel that you had posted about how to um, reformat a Google Doc URL. So
Yeah.
when you send it out to people, it automatically just makes a copy for them. And
Hmm.
I was like, wow, that's genius. So what's crazy is just like how did you even find that? Like your mind is amazing. Is all I guess
I had a
that's
client who had so many Google Docs to share with her course students. And one of the biggest things that people would keep, like, because I find that sometimes people don't read instructions very well. So even if you tell them like step by step, this is how you make a copy to your own Google Drive, they don't read it. And you get the emails like, it doesn't work for me. I can't edit it.
right.
So why not cut out that step and just make it so that it automatically makes a copy? And Google and YouTube are my best friends when I'm trying to figure out like new hacks or like automations. It's like, what if this is possible, or is this possible? And so I looked up like how to automatically make a copy of a Google Doc to Google Drive, and there it was.
Wow, I love that. That is awesome. I think it's so cool because you just, and this is something I think that I've never talked about on here before, but when you are trying to figure out new things for your business or working on your business, you do have to sort of still stay curious.
Yes.
You have to
Like
stay
always ask
curious.
what if.
Right. And I like how you said that you will wake up and be like, "Oh, what if I can automate, this or like what if I can do something to work this way and that way to get that end result?" And that's sort of how you stay, and this works I think in any type of business. That's how you stay relevant, that's how you stay up to date. You're always asking questions and you're always staying curious. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just always have to find ways to be creative because it's your business at the end of the day. So you can do things your way.
Do you ever hit like a I guess like if you are in a space where you're like, okay, I'm going to work on my own business for this amount of time, do you ever hit sort of like a the only word I can think of is like a writer's block, but in terms of business, I guess like yeah, like just a block.
Yeah, sometimes I'm not feeling as creative. It depends on like energy levels and like what I've been working on with clients. If I've done like a lot of funnel builds and like I don't think I'm as creative than I usually would be. Like most recently, the past month and a half since I found out that I'm pregnant, I have not been creative at all. I'm just like energy is gone. But when I do have those blocks, I think I've been more what's the word? Like forgiving or not so harsh on myself. Like it'll come to me when it comes. Especially like when it comes to coming up with content for social media. Like I think that's something that I could definitely do better in terms of like batching or like planning out the content, but that's it feels so structured that I can't stick to it. I don't know what it is that I just can't stick to
Right.
planning out content. I can dump out ideas of like what I want to post, but I can't sit there and like write everything out and then come up with all the graphics or the videos or whatever it is. But like sometimes I randomly get a spark of creativity, and I find that like with social media posts, the posts that I come up with like last minute on the fly perform so much better than the posts that I like plan out ahead of time. It's kind of funny.
Right. Right. And I wonder if that's because I don't know, like you just love it more. So you're like, I'm posting this because I want to post it, not because I
Yeah.
have to post it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's kind of like a love-hate relationship with like structure sometimes. Like, and then it kind of falls with like the creativity of like, automations and stuff. Like, what if we did things this way, and like just
Mhm.
having that fluidity and like flexibility of doing things. And then like when it comes to like content and having a structure, it just feels so like stuck in a box. So when I do get those sparks of
Yeah.
creativity, it's nice.
Yeah. Like you feel like you can't play around, I guess,
Yeah.
or you can't like do more than what you're supposed to, so to
Yeah,
speak,
something
inside this
like that.
box. But I love the way you speak about systems and like tech automation as if it's art, because people don't see it that way, especially if they are not tech savvy.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, like this is a tool, it's just a tool. But the way you talk about it is like, oh, like no, like this is me being creative and this is how I express that creativity. So are there sort of ways that you're able to just do it for fun, or is this something that you're like, yeah, like if I have to figure out what it is, then sure.
Well, when I'm working on it for my own business, like when I'm building my own funnels, I think my poor husband was playing video games for like 4 or 5 hours downstairs, and he came up and was ready for bed. And he was like, "Are you ready for bed yet?" And I'm just like, "No, like, this is so much fun. I'm building my own funnel. Like this is what I usually do for my clients, but now I'm doing it for myself. So it's like so much fun." Um, but honestly, when I am like building systems and automations for my clients, time goes by. And that was when I first realized that this was my niche, was because the first time I did it, 4 hours had gone by and I had no idea. It
Wow.
felt like 30 minutes. And like at the end, I was like, oh my God, I spent that much time doing this, but I had so much fun doing it that I don't know what that feeling, like how to describe that feeling. But I think it's funny that you said that I describe tech and automation systems to be like creative. So up until that point, I'd never consider myself a creative person because I grew up like straight A students, like science background. I went to pharmacy school for 2 years, like very
Wow.
like I don't know, like academic, like science wise, everything was like had a reason behind it. So like
Right.
I was not good at art at all, like nothing creative about me growing up. So it's kind of funny to hear to
Yeah,
hear
but
you say
I think
that.
that's what's great about it is that like, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're coming up with your own business, or like you are in your own business, it's easy to kind of be like, yeah, like this is what I do, but at the core of it, you do it because it's a little bit of a part of who you are.
Mm,
And yeah, no, I don't really know what else to say besides I love that like that's how it comes off, is like as if, it's different for other types of businesses where it's branding, right?
mhm.
Or like copywriting. Like that is also a form of art and creativity, but it's easier to see how it's creative. Whereas this, like if you were to give me an end goal and someone was like, give me 5 tools, I would be like, I guess I could try to figure this out. And if I did, I don't know what to do with it from there. I'm the person that's like, how do we, get to this point? Not the person
Mhm.
that's like, oh, we get to this point by doing this. So yeah, I think it's definitely creative. And I think it's awesome how you look at
Thank you.
it. All right. Well, we are coming up on time. Angela, thank you so much for being on our show this day and telling us your story. I have 2 questions that I usually close out with if you're up for it.
Okay.
Awesome. So, second to last question, what are 3 things most people wouldn't know about you?
Okay. So number one, I'm a really good detective.
Ooh.
It's kind of scary. My husband can't hide things from me because I'm very, very good. All my girlfriends come to me when they need something figured out. I'm a very good detective. Google is my best friend, like I said earlier. So yeah, that's number one. Number two, I really love karaoke.
Ooh.
I recently like 'cause having a kid, I'm always like listening to like his music and his movies and all that. So like recently in the car line when I was picking him up, I was killing time and I like played all the old songs that I'd used to like sing in the shower when I was single. And I was like, oh my God, I miss this so much. So yeah, okay, I love karaoke. And number three is another thing. I'm not that interesting of a person.
You are.
Oh, I am terrified for no good reason of snakes.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I don't know why. Nothing bad ever happened. I don't know why. I can't even look at a picture. Growing up, I had to ask my sisters to put stickers or post-it notes over like snake pictures in my biology textbooks because I can't even
Really?
look at pictures of them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Have you, I'm wondering if this is like a result of watching Aladdin or something.
No, I really don't know where it came from. Like it's so weird. I want to say I may have had a bad dream growing up, but I just don't know where this fear came from. It's really unexplained.
Yeah, how interesting. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm pretty scared of spiders. I don't think I could look at
My
pictures of
husband's the same
spiders.
way. He gets like the
Yeah.
heebie-jeebies just thinking about it.
Yeah, I used to live in San Francisco in what's called an in-law. So it's like I live in an apartment in someone's garage.
Uh-huh.
And once there was like I don't even know what kind of spider it was. Maybe it was a black widow, but it was huge. It was like at least like 2 inches long.
Oh,
And I called my landlord and I was like, I need you to come down here and kill this bug because I'm not doing it. And I lived like alone at the time.
oh
So
no.
she had her husband come down and he literally grabbed it with his bare hand. And I
No.
could not sleep that night.
You just like feel it like crawling.
Yeah. And he just like thought it was funny. And I was like, no, it's not funny. But anyway, last question that I have for you. If you could give yourself a single piece of advice at the start of it all, what would it be?
I would say less consuming and more doing.
Ooh,
Um, when you start out in the online space, there's so much information, like free information, paid information, whatever it is being thrown at you. Like I can spend, if I'm not conscious and aware, like hours scrolling on my business Instagram account, just looking at all these like posts and videos and reels or whatever that people are posting. And one, it will take me down a spiral of like imposter syndrome that I'm not doing enough in terms of
right.
like posting for my business. Two, have me question a lot of things about how I do content for my business. And it just like puts me in a place where I'm just like consuming, but not doing anything productive for my business, not doing anything to move the needle forward in my business. So I've recently like kind of taken a social media break from my business Instagram, and surprisingly, like I think I'm on track to meet like my second highest income goal for the year, or income month for the
Wow.
year. So like less consuming and more doing. If like doing means, more posting, making more connections with people, like trying to get on more podcast interviews, or just doing things versus just scrolling and like making unnecessary like edits to things that, like, my website copy when I first launched, it took me 3 months. Like I could have just
Wow.
launched. It's not going to be like, now I know it's not going to be perfect the first time, but
Right.
that's okay. You can tweak it over time. So I would say that would be my advice.
Oh, I love that. And I think it's so easy to get caught up in that kind of narrative of what is everybody else doing and
Yeah.
crap, I'm not doing that. Oh
Hmm.
shoot. Yeah, I feel that. Oh, I think that's great.
Especially now with like Instagram wanting it to be more of like a video
Right.
platform. So now everyone's like, oh, you have to be on video. I don't post a lot of videos. Like you'll like the reel that you mentioned, the videos that I do post are me like showing you how to do something. So it's not like
Yeah.
me in front of the camera. So that like did a lot of like, oh my God, is like, do I have to like change the way I do business and things like
Right.
that? But yeah, just
in front of the
or
camera pointing at things.
I know, like I'm not gonna start dancing in front of people. It feels really uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I get
Um,
it. I get it. I'm the
yeah,
same way. I like power to the people who are so comfortable doing that, but it would
I
probably
know.
take me hours to actually find, like, if I were to try it, it would take me so long to like one and then actually feel comfortable
To
posting
post it, I know, like to
it.
press that post button, I was like, ooh.
I will say I have tried. I've tried to like figure out a dance and I recorded myself once and I was like, yep, nope, this is not happening.
I think I've done two reels that I actually showed my face in it. Like I did like the lip sync thing. One of them did really well, but I haven't tried since. It just feels like so much work. Like I got to get myself like looking okay, like decent
Right.
for it, and then like I like do all the edits. It's like this is a lot of work for like a 15-second clip.
Right. And I will say, like, especially after working from home for so long, I only put makeup on if I'm recording like a podcast video or
Mm-hmm.
like a video for work. Other than that, I'm like, if you see me on a regular day, I got my glasses on. I might not have brushed my hair that
Yeah.
morning. Like
Thank you.
it is not something that I want to prioritize in my day.
Exactly.
But before I forget, where can people find you online?
So you can find me on my website at thesystemsrx.com. Or hopefully when this episode goes live, I will be more active on my Instagram. I should be in my second trimester by then, third trimester maybe. But my Instagram handle is thesystemsrx.
Love it. Love it. And we will put those in the show notes, guys. So you will have access to it if you want to just click. But go check Angela out and we will see you next time.
Thank
Bye.
you so much for having me. Bye.
Of course.